All right, g'day, hi, and welcome. All right, okay, scale length. Is a seven string harder to play than a six string? Well, we're going to talk about scale length. The scale length is basically from the bridge to the nut. So on this Gibson here, this is a Gibson 2006 Gibson SG3. They don't make these ones anymore. Fantastic guitar. Um, this has a 24 3/4 inch scale length. This is my Mark Holcomb Signature Series SE SVN seven string, you know, PRS guitar. And that has a 26 1/2 inch scale length with 24 frets. So the frets don't matter as much as the scale length do, because the only thing that going from 22 frets to 24 frets really does different. Some people say 22 fret guitars tend to sound better, but you get more of a gap between the pickups. And when you get more gap between the pickups, you get more of that, when you go into the middle mode, you get more of a sculpted sound, right? So that's one reason why a lot of people like 22 fret guitars. I've been playing 22 fret guitars for years and years and years. I do prefer the 24 frets. So if you have to make the compromise between the pickups, the juiciness sound of the pickups versus, with both humbuckers on versus, having extra two frets. If I'm thinking in metal, I'd rather have the extra two frets. If I'm thinking straight through the amp and clean, I'd rather have the 22 frets with the wider, wider gap between the pickups to get that more delicious sounds that you get on the cleans. So everybody's different on that. Yeah. So, well, first off, I'll say yes, the seven string is more work to play. Notice I didn't say harder to play. It's the same strings wise, but what you have to get used is the width. That's the first thing you have to get used to. The second thing you have to get used to is the scale length itself. And there are different scale lengths for seven strings. They're kind of where most six strings are either going to be 24 3/4 scale, Gibson scale, or 25 1/2 Fender scale. That's most guitars. Most guitars on the planet are probably 25 1/2 scale for the electrics anyway. PRS is kind of weird. They've got McCarty models, which have 24 5/8 or something like that, and then a 25 inch and 25 1/2. And then of course with their Holcomb guitars, the baritone guitars, the 1/8 string that they make, and the Mark Holcomb guitars, you got 26 1/2. Well, for the seven string anyway. So yeah, you're going to have to work a little harder. So for somebody starting out, even buying a cheaper seven string, you've already got the challenge of learning against you. So for a beginner, I would say probably stick with the six string until you get really good at it, and then graduate to a seven string or an eight string or whatever. But for those that have been playing for a while or whatever, and you want to try something new, it took me about, like, I have an eight string as well, and I found the eight string took longer to adjust to, 6 months to a year, where I can pick it up and play it and not misfret anything, because it wasn't the scale length that got me. It was the width, where my fingers would not, if I went to hit, say, like an A minor chord in the first position, I'd end up on E flat. But it didn't really do it was more noticeable with the eight string than it was with the seven string. Seven string I adapted to very, very, very quickly. But when you're shredding and stuff like that, you're like that. The bigger thing, it's not so much for the shredding, it's for the chords. When you start playing chords, you can't beat a 24 3/4 scale, because you just, you can do gymnastics on that, no problem. A lot of people, oh, it's too small of a scale, it's too tight. No, it's most people, especially people with small hands, will really like, because it's easier to play, things are closer together. People that like to do really outrageous stretches, like jazz style chords, they're going to love this. Like, I mean, you can stretch, you can make that chord, whatever that chord is. You see, I can't quite get to so we're, let's see, I'm at the 12th fret there. This is what I'm talking about. So there it's, that's about the same as that, right? So it's just a little bit long, so you can just stretch a little bit more. You got to widen out a bit more. And if you have to hold that position, that's where you got to watch. How am I doing for time here? Hand fatigue while you're inserting chord progressions if you're doing really advanced chords. So that's more what I find with the 7 strings and 8 strings is just doing really radical chords can be a lot trickier because you have to spread everything out a lot. Just a little bit more, not a lot more. You know, at the end of the day, you're an inch difference between a like a Fender scale. So, you know, 25.5 versus 26. If you're going from like a Fender scale, 25.5, say you got a Jackson or an Ibanez or whatever that has a 25.5 scale, you probably won't find it that hard to go to the 26.5. But if you're going from Gibson scale, 24.75 to 26.5 inch baritone scale or longer baritones, which are like 27, 28 inch, once you get past that 26.5 inch scale length, it's almost like you're in bass territory. So when you want to do a power chord, it's like here, you know what I mean? But that said, this is a pretty comfortable guitar to play. I wouldn't recommend a 7 string for a first guitar, not even with a shorter scale length, because you can get a 7 string with 25.5 inch scale length, but the string tension is not right. So you need that 26.5 longer scale length to get the proper tension on that low B. So either stick with a good 6 string for a while and then save up, get yourself a decent 7 string. You know, you don't have to break the bank, but get something that's, you know, set up properly. Because when you try to cheat with the lighter strings and the shorter scale lengths on the 7 string, they sound like junk. The strings just doesn't have enough tension on it, sitting there flubbing away. So you're better off to, like I say, put the money into a really good 6 string, down tune it. Get something that can do a lot of down tuning. That'll kind of get you sort of in the range of a baritone scale, but nothing, you know, no, kind of like they say with engines, no replacement for displacement, you know, no substitute for the real thing. Well, I would say you know, if I had to make that analogy, that's what I would say about the 7 string, where when you really want that low end punch, even if you're not playing the low B, you just get that extra low end punch. And that's why you go to the 7 string. It just gives you that deeper sound. Now, mind you, when you want to do really fast, lively shredding solos, if you want to see a perfect pair, you're kind of looking at it. Your lead guitar player should be playing this or something like this, because his solos are going to be so snappy and out front, right? Whereas the rhythm guitar player, he should be playing that. Doesn't mean you can't play leads on that. I play leads on it. It's not a question of can you play the leads, it's how it cuts through the mix. So the guitar with the rosewood fingerboard is going to cut through. With the shorter scale length, those notes are going to be nice and really tight sounding. That's why people love Les Pauls and SGs and stuff like that, because the solos just come right out. But when you kind of lose a little bit of thunder on the on the E, the A, and the D, where that is going to move Mount Everest with that. So that'll shake the building off the foundation, which is what you kind of want for the rhythm guitar. So just something, little food for thought. I'll leave it at about that, because that's probably about, yeah. So if you're thinking of getting into the 7 string, yes, it is a little bit different. You got to live with it. You got to play it lots. This guitar I can pretty much play blindfolded, because my hands are muscle memory is so intonated for these guitars, because I've been playing them so long. I don't even have to think about it. My hand just goes wherever I need it to go, right? Where that I still have to think about it a bit, but not as much as I do with the 8 string. But after about this will be another 2 months, I'll be doing the 1-year review on that guitar and what I've learned about it and stuff like that, and how I like playing it, and will I will I get rid of it, will I keep it? Well, chances are I'm taking that guitar and that guitar to my grave, so just hopefully I live long, that's all. But anyway, I figure it's a nice little topic and just a little bit of food for thought for anybody that doesn't really understand what they want yet out of a guitar. So a lot of people want that, but they're not ready for that. A lot of people have this, but they want that. Some people have that, and then they switch up and they just can't get this. So different animal, different tool to the job. Both are amazing. One's not better than the other. They're just two different. It's apples and oranges. There you go. So anyway, have yourselves a great day. I'll give you a nice flyby of the guitars. Yeah, there we go. All right.